What makes you think you deserve it?
When you've been working since you were 13, promise mom by everything. Burn so often, fire talking, scars so dark they steal your dreams. Nightmares to the young and clean. Life will rain for some it seems. Pray for days when heaven stays, but you ain't put no work in for the crown. You ain't put no work in for the crown.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Unplugging, episode 17. Today we're going to be talking about Signs You Are a Weak Man, part 1. Definitely. So what's up, Leo?
What's up? Oh my goodness. I was kind of debating on whether to do this topic or like 10 other things, but I say, you know what? This one stuck out to me a little bit.
And it stuck out to me too, because this is something we've been talking, or been around, and yeah, this is something we should definitely cover.
Absolutely. Now, I know there are 10 trillion, fulfilling different things we can say to describe what a weak man is in a relationship. But we're going to go off based off our own experiences, of course, and we might even have some science to go along with this as well, because how many studies do we have now at this point, So definitely we'll take some time to possibly look at a study or two. I want this to be a little bit more general. I'll be very honest with you guys. We've shown, I don't know how many studies on this channel now. We're going to keep doing that, of course. But we'll keep it a little bit more generalized, and we want this to kind of stick out a little bit more to you guys. We want to see if we can kind of relate to you guys a little bit with the topics we talk about. But without further ado, in no particular order, we can kind of get started here. So, as Chris mentioned, episode number 17, signs that make you a weak man in a relationship. And we might segregate this into a few parts, actually. So I want this to be kind of part 1, and then part 2 and part 3, we'll kind of go from there. So, to start off with, here's my number 1 point here to start off. Gentlemen, as we've talked about in many of our episodes, your basically commodity and your metric of success is chasing excellence. It should never be chasing tail. It should never be overdoing your hobbies. It should never be just sitting at home, not doing anything and finding ways to make yourself prosperous. You need, at no point at all should you ever feel like you need a woman to complete you or to make you feel whole because there's a gap somewhere in your life. All right, that's the first point I want to get started on. Reason for this is because, as we mentioned so many times on the podcast, is that, again, your metric of success is to chase excellence. Dr. Cervantes, thanks for joining us. All right, we got a nice little episode coming on in for you here. See if we can make some relations here, So, at no point, the moment you wake up, the moment you get up, you should already be thinking about, okay, how am I going to strive? How am I going to grow? How am I going to become better? What am I going to do to put a dent into this universe? What contributions can I make to society? Those are the thoughts that should be going on in your head, not, I wonder who's going to fill in this gap. I wonder who. I wonder who's going to give me love. I wonder who's going to do this. I wonder who I'm going to love. You shouldn't be thinking about that. You just shouldn't. Simply because, as we talked about, when you're pursuing, when women see that you have that glimmer in your eye that's not them, and we've even said that in the last episode and probably a few other episodes ago, when women see that you have a glimmer in your eye, that spark, that's not them, it's you chasing excellence, they're going to hop on board with the program. Women want to follow a program. That's not you chasing them. They want to follow a program where the man says, here's my ship. I'm the flagship of this program. I'm the one who's chasing excellence. I'm the one who's going to grow, strive, and you're in for the ride. That's typically what women are looking for. All right, like they're never going to outright say it because reputation management, and they don't want to be shamed for basically what they want in a man, which I don't think should happen. I think women need to be more overt about what they want in a man. And that kind of, I'm going to sidetrack myself a little bit here, Chris. So we talked about some stuff from the last episode with Chris, and one of the things I forgot to mention actually is, I lost my train of thought on that one actually.
You forgot to mention what?
Yeah, I forgot to. There was one thing I forgot to mention, but maybe when I keep going on this, we'll figure it out. That I lost my train of thought on that one.
Is it about our topic today, or what?
It's somewhat about our topic because it has to do with just chasing excellence and things like that. But I pretty much forgot it already because I'm thinking about something.
A lot about social media with them. We probably missed something there.
That was a great episode, actually. The social media aspect, and we're not going to get into that again because I think we've already established our point there. We made it extremely concrete.
Yeah.
But anyways, and I'll probably remember my point at some point. But when the woman sees that you're not chasing a mission, you're not on a mission, you're not chasing excellence, you're not trying to improve yourself, she's not going to be on board with your program. She's just not. Because if you're just sitting at home like we talked about, if women see that you're becoming very predictable, they know what you're doing 24/7, they see you 24/7, they're not feeling the colors of the rainbow like we talked about, they're jumping ship. They're totally jumping ship. And it's so funny because I talked to one of my coworkers earlier today about this one, and I told her about my podcast. Hope she's watching, shout out. And so I basically told her, you know, men, what women look for in men is they want men to be ambitious and industrious always. And then what she told me a little bit afterwards, I don't know if she realized it, she basically said, oh, you know, I was engaged twice, and then one of the other guys who I was hanging out with, to my knowledge, she saw that he didn't have a mission. She asked him, like, what are you going to do with your life? Oh, okay, you want to play football. Well, what if that doesn't work out? And he didn't really have a plan after that. So she was immediately switched off by that. It's like, you don't really have a plan. And getting into the NFL is hard.
Yeah.
Like, you could be the best player in the world, but the chances still are slim. You got to really stand out, and you really have to have like a little bit of some reputation, and coaches know you, players know you, like you're a big name. You have to be somewhat of a big name for people to kind of take you and such. You just got to be good overall.
You got to be the best of the best, you know.
Yeah, it's still hard. So just the fact that when men don't have a plan, men don't have a mission, they're turned off immediately. And we're not going to show that study again because I think we showed it like twice already, but I think people get the gist of it. So pretty much, guys, and the other thing too that makes you a weak man, this is kind of adding on to the first point, is as we mentioned before, women are the ones who seek validation and attention. Why are you seeking attention and validation? That is a feminine trait. Stop trying to look for attention and validation from people. That will come when it is earned, not when you ask for it. Women ask for it. And they get it, no problem. Why? Because they just exist. I hate to sound so crass about it, but they just have to exist, and they'll get it. If a man opens up an OnlyFans, you really think he's going to get the same attention and validation as a woman opening up an OnlyFans? No. Do you think if he posts a picture of him shirtless, he might be a decent looking guy, maybe he has a body, you think he's going to get the same validation and attention as a woman who's average looking? You think so? Let's keep it 1,000 here. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the attention and validation, that's more of a feminine trait, guys, okay? We have to earn value, as I've mentioned before. So when attention and validation is given to us, it's because we earned it. And just like how I said in the last episode with our guest, Chris, how the reason why men, if they're able to be promiscuous, is because they can, because they earned it. It wasn't just given to them. They earned it. So I find it kind of an oxymoron for me, or I'm even jaded hearing this when people extrapolate to that point. When people extrapolate to that point where it's like, well, men can do it too. No, it's if they can. Not that they can, it's if they can, meaning they earn the ability to do it. If and can are two completely different things, all right? If someone can do it, there has to be some stipulations to go along with that. But a person who has never been told no, like very, very attractive women, which we'll have a topic about that probably in the next episode, who knows, the dangers of dating super duper attractive women. You got to be careful with those because they have inherent problems. Oh yeah, I said it, inherent problems. So you got to be able to work, grind, and earn your way to be able to get all the attention and validation. I got to be very clear about that, guys, all right? So grind, definitely grind. So I think that kind of wraps up point number one here. I might come back to this one, who knows. So, Chris, you want to add on anything to this one, to point number one?
No, not really, man. You got to stay ambitious and keep focused. Don't get lazy. Don't get comfortable. That's it, you know?
Yeah. The moment the woman sees you comfortable, she starts to look for other options. Look for other options. It's just a sad truth, guys. I hate to say it. And women are right to do this. I'm gonna keep it 1,000 for you guys. Women are right to do that because you have to understand that women's innate nature is that they look for security and paternity. Okay, men do it too to a certain degree, but women are the ones who have to be extremely selective with who they choose to be the father of their children. So they see that there's no insurance on the man's path, she's going to bail, she's going to dip. All right. So wrapping that up there, we're going on to point number 2 here. This is kind of follows up with the first point here. So gentlemen, this is for the guys who are into theology, right? Who are Christians and Buddhists and things like that, or just follow any type of religion. You only fear God, right? Keep that. Keep that. Because if that is going to be your only fear, if God is going to be your only fear, nothing else should be your fear. That also includes you being afraid that a woman is going to leave you based on an outcome that you're afraid to have occur. All right. So what I can't seem to understand is when men get into a relationship, and we're talking about either it's a high value man, an alpha male, a beta male, a low value male, a delta male, whatever you want to call it.
Delta, sigma,
sigma, omega. Yep, we have all these symbols now. Yep, yeah, we'll make a thing about that one. Absolutely. So, gentlemen, like, what a lot of psychologists will tell you is fear is just something that's in your head, and you're going to have to conquer it eventually, and you have to combat it at some point. Fear's everywhere. All right. But at the end of the day, like, it's just an imagination you have going on in your head at the end of the day, because your actions will determine certain outcomes. But when you let other people determine your outcomes, that's a huge sign of a weak man or a weak woman, okay? The fact that if you're in a relationship and you are scared, afraid, totally just flabbergasted, and I'm trying to think of another word here. There's another word I had in my head, but it was a really, really good one. But you're just really scared here that if you go up to her and you confront her about something, or if you're afraid to say something to her, you're afraid of doing something and she's dissatisfied, she's going to leave you. Get this out of your head already, because we've already talked about this in previous episodes where there are trillions, billions, I don't know how many women are in this world right now. There are definitely more women than men, for sure. And we've also had more female ancestors than male ancestors, so we're not going to get into that. You cannot be afraid of the 10,000 gajillion outcomes with one woman when there's so many women out there. You cannot. That's the first thing you need to have in your head, ingrained in your head, innately, already. There shouldn't be any question, because we've already talked about this too, where you have to stop thinking and treating this girl who you're with, this woman, like she's one of a kind. She's not. She's just not. Like, especially if she's an older woman. Like, what a lot of older women tend to do, and they have to do, is they have to drop their standards. They have to. They have no choice. They absolutely have no choice. They are absolutely delusional if they're in their early 30s, late 30s, going into 40s, that they think they can keep their same strategies as of when they were peaking between 18 and 24 years old. Not going to happen. It is just not going to happen, because now they have to compete with the women who are still peaking and who are still fertile. They're not going to. They're just not. They can't. They just can't. So understand that women's hypergamy constantly changes. It is not consistent, and it is not stagnant like men's are. Men always want younger women. I don't care what any guy says. They can say, well, I don't mind having an older woman. Yeah, but are you going to marry her? Are you going to take her serious? And is it going to last? You know, there's so many variables. We've even pulled up a study where men and women generally, men date women who are 3.5 years younger than them, and women date men who are 3.5 years older than them. That is a general statistic that we've pulled up on this podcast. Now, again, it's culture-based. We talked about that. Remember, it was Nigeria. That was, for men, it's 6.5 years younger.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that one? Yeah. So, and that's just there. But it's still younger. Like, men universally choose women who are younger. I'm not going to sound like a broken record here, but that's just a general fact. It's a statistic.
Just how we're wired.
Just how we're wired, absolutely. So, what I can't stand is that if we have people, or we see people in restaurants or people's houses or family gatherings, and we've said this before, gentlemen, you can tell who runs the relationship. You can tell very, very easily. The fact, if I see a woman acting out and her man is kind of just keeping his mouth shut, zip, doesn't say anything to put her in place and to calm her down and to stop these atrocious behavior patterns, That is a weak man. Simple as that. A weak man. A strong man who understands his standards, his masculine identity, boundaries, and knows what his preferences are and isn't afraid to show them and put his foot down and say, no, this is what I want. This is what I like. I can't take a woman serious who does this. That's how you know. That is entirely how you know. You cannot be afraid of losing a woman, guys, okay? Because they're a dime a dozen, and a lot of them are extremely similar. A lot of them want the same things. A lot of them do the same things. There might be some nuances here and there with one of them, but overall, they're not different. They're just not. The sign in the background, yeah. Oh, look at that one there, yeah. I actually just noticed that. Oh my goodness. My God, I walk in, I'm just looking straight in here. Talking to Samantha, it's good stuff, my man. They're making me kind of realize. Look at that, the green, the green, the white, and the black. Absolutely.
Also the background.
Yes, absolutely. Gives it life. Gives it energy, you know. So thank you for that one, guys. Thank you, Dr. Cervantes, for the compliment there. We love that. We love that. Yes, and give me some compliments too here. Give me some topics here if you want, and I'll go ahead and touch up on them. I want to interact with you guys as much as we possibly can. Yes. So just being afraid, you can't do that, guys. You can't. Like if you cannot be afraid of any woman. You cannot be afraid of losing her. You cannot be afraid of her reacting to certain things, because as we talked about this even in our last episode of Chris, is that women look for leaders. Leaders are not afraid to apprehend challenges. They're not afraid to be stoic. They're not afraid of outcomes no matter what. Okay? They have to deal with it, because at the end of the day, when life gets tough, man up, suck it up, push through, become better, learn, strive. At the end of the day, that's kind of what we're meant to do. All right? So just remember that, guys. Do not be afraid of your women. Very good. Point number 3. Oh, Jesus. My blood was kind of boiling with this one when I wrote this down on my notes.
Really?
I'm going to give it to you straight.
All right.
All right, gentlemen. So besides not being afraid of your girlfriend / wife or fiance, whatnot, and thinking that you need to have a woman in your life to complete you, okay? Come on. My third point, you are a weak man. And women think you are weak when you let other men disrespect you in front of her. In front of her. How does this look? What you're probably wondering. All right, so let's say I'm at a restaurant, okay? And I take this girl, I'm dating her, I'm kind of vetting her and such. Okay. Maybe our first or second date. Let's say second date, because she's kind of had a feel for me already. And this one guy comes out of complete nowhere, just a random guy. I don't know who he is, whatnot, she doesn't know who he is. And just tries to kind of hit on her. And he sees that I'm sitting right in front of her. So to me, it's like, okay, buddy, you realize she's on a date here, right? But there are going to be some clowns out there. Some clowns, some jokers who, they don't care. But the thing is, too, think of it as a competency test. It's a big competency test. Like, women are going to throw competency tests all the time. But this one's an indirect competency test from her. It's just with another man.
Right.
The fact that a guy comes in and tries to hit on her and is talking to her, and you're allowing this guy to basically act like you don't exist and to act like you're not even there, and especially if she's entertaining the idea that another man is talking to her, you're being disrespected not only by one person, but by two people. Simple as that. The girl who you're on a date with, and the man who is basically cock-blocking you. Basically cock-blocking you. But most importantly, like, a woman, she, again, like, there's something I've read in evolutionary psychology. It's called the good gene theory. Now, this one's going to be slightly off topic, but basically what it means is that when women feel that they've chosen poorly from within their current partner, what they do is that some of them go for affairs. With their affairs, what happens is that they start looking for the alpha males. They start looking for alpha traits. The good gene theory is basically good looks. And remember, we talked about a study where men who are symmetrical in their faces, who show no signs of degeneracy, that shows no signs of drooping faces or marks on their faces, that's security for them that they're going to have healthy children. So all the pathogens, the bacteria that could probably be affecting the face, like it's not going to be passed on. Okay, so that's something that women do when they're doing affairs. That's just one theory. We can talk about that in a different episode, but I want to throw that in. So the reason why I brought that up is that what if this guy looks like a complete Chad? A complete Chad and whatnot, and maybe he's like bras and he looks formidable.
Like Giga Chad?
Yeah, you can call that.
We're screwed if Giga Chad comes to talk to your girl.
Yeah, but you got to be a leader. You got to put your foot down. That's the only way you're going to combat that, honestly. Dr. Salantis, what do you got here? Are you guys going to have people call in? Oh, we can do. Can we do the call-ins? That'll be kind of nice.
That's like a lot of setup. We're not ready for that yet.
We're not ready for that just yet, but we'll put that down on our list here for the call-ins. Yes, thank you, Dr. Salantis. We'll definitely do that, and we'll have you call in. Why not? Give us a question here, of course. So again, the reason why I brought that up is because like when women feel that they've chosen poorly, this is what they do. So they're open to this type of stuff. Now you're being vetted by her. It's only the second day, so anything can happen. You know what I mean? But the fact that a man kind of eagle-eyed you and said, okay, this guy, he doesn't seem like he's someone who's going to tell me anything if I walk up to this girl. Doesn't seem like it. There are going to be guys out there, and this is for you gentlemen. You have to be ready for that. Because if she's already a super attractive woman, this is one of the things I was going to talk about, but I'm still not going to spoil it. You have to be ready for other men to kind of poach her. All right? You got to be ready for that. So you got to discipline yourself to handle situations like that. Of course, I'm not saying punch the guy in the face and start a big problem with him. I'm not saying that. But you got to assert yourself as the dominant figure, because even back in nomadic times, men had to assert themselves with each other. They had to show, who's the leader, who's the alpha, who's the dominant, okay? And I know there are going to be some women be like, you guys and your alpha traits, like, you guys don't have to do this and that. Well, that's how we secure our mates. It's been that way since the beginning of time. Again, it's women complaining that men are being men. Let men be men. This is how we secure our goods. This is how we assert dominance. Let us be. So what you're going to do here, obviously, the moment he comes in, you cannot let this prolong. You cannot. So if a guy comes in and the moment he starts saying something flirtatious to the woman, you got to stop it immediately. Do not let him ask questions. Do not let him say, you're beautiful. Do not let him say, oh, you look good tonight, or what are you eating? Don't let him have a conversation with her at all. Okay? Don't let it escalate. So the moment he comes in and he's like kind of Google-eyeing her a little bit and then starts to say, hey, so what's up? The moment he's trying to start a conversation with you, you got to immediately stop that. Many ways to do that. Usually, this happened to me one time actually years ago, and I'm glad that I put my foot down on this. And I told the guy immediately when he said something to her, immediately to one of my exes, I immediately say, sir, we're on a date here, do you mind? I said it just like that. I didn't say it like a punkish way, like, oh, sir, tapping on the shoulder, we're kind of on a date. I said, sir, we're in the middle of the date. Can I help you? I said it just like that. Can I help you? And the guy's like, it's no worries, man. No worries. I said, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to continue my day, please. And I said it like very assertively, I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I didn't like put my hands on him or anything. He got the picture. He got it immediately. Now, if he does tend to fight back, and he tends to do certain things, okay? This still doesn't mean you have to escalate it and have it become a fight, all right? There's still a lot of ways you can do to get out of that. Now, you got to have a big conversation with this guy at that point. What I do, and I did this one time, I was way back in high school, actually. What I ended up doing with this one guy, I got up from my seat, and I said, come here. And I literally grabbed him. I grabbed him like by the back and everything. I didn't like forcefully grab him and say, let's talk. Yeah. And I told him, listen, buddy, you seem like you're a decent guy, all right? I don't appreciate you jumping in when I'm in the middle of a date, okay? I don't know if you know this person, but I would really appreciate this if you just leave, all right? And the guy, he didn't say anything. He looked kind of pissed off when I told him that, but he just said, all right, man, all right. And he was just kind of dismissive when I was telling him this. But I was ready. I was very, very ready to tell him more things. It's like, look, man, if you're going to start problems, you're going to deal with me, all right? You're going to deal with me, or I just call the police for harassment. As simple as that. Because right now, you're harassing my girlfriend. She's not comfortable with you talking to her. And right now, I'm getting pissed off, all right? That's what I did. I asserted myself. I told him I was going to give him issues. I was going to give him problems. And if he wasn't going to leave, I was willing to call the authorities on him. It's that simple. All right. So, gentlemen, you have to assert yourself. You really have to assert yourself, guys, okay? If the woman sees that you are not asserting yourself, that you are not standing up to this person, and she doesn't see that, she doesn't see that you are having like a talk with him and you're not putting him in his place, and you're not defending your honor, basically, that second date is probably going to be your last date with her. Most likely it's going to be your last date with her. Or she puts you in this simping category, or this friends category, this friend zone category, where she's going to only call you now for booty calls. I'm sorry, not foodie calls. the foodie calls, right? So the foodie calls, and when she wants you to spend money on her and things like that. So you've indirectly put yourself in the friend zone because of that. So gentlemen, if it comes down to it, you got to assert yourself, okay? You cannot be afraid if a guy's going to scream at you, fight you, or things like that. You have to defend your honor. You have to defend what's yours, okay? Like, if you're on a date with a girl, like, she needs to see that you are willing to defend her. If she sees that you cannot defend yourself, protect yourself, defend your honor, what happens when she's in trouble? How are you going to defend her if you can't even defend yourself with confrontations like that? You can't. You simply can't. Now, I know men are going to have their own ways, their own mannerisms to kind of handle this. Some of them are probably going to end up fighting the guy. It's going to happen. Is it going to happen all the time? No, not all the time. I prefer not to do that, obviously. But if this guy is a threat to the woman who I'm with, like, he's putting his hands on her, like, I am going to be aggravated. You best believe I'm going to be aggravated, and things are going to happen. All right? Things are definitely going to happen. Like, hey, you need to get up on out of here, man, because you're asking for trouble. Simple as that. All right? Mm-hmm. So be assertive, guys. Protect what is yours. Okay, protect what is yours. Because the thing is, when women see that you're not willing to protect, you're not willing to defend your honor, your pride, anything like that, that you're not willing to be stoic and handle things appropriately, you think she's going to be aroused by that? Or attracted by it? She's going to lose both attraction and arousal for you. So be aware of that. Well, that was point number 3 there, that we ended up going on a good story there. That was nice. That's right. So, yeah, the little stories there are always going to help out, right?
Yeah, man. People like stories.
Yeah. It's something to relate. You got to relate to certain things, right?
Right.
Yeah. Number 4. Oh, yeah. And I think this is something we talked about before and somewhat recently, but we didn't actually make it a point. We just kind of added on with one of our red flag videos. It's, gentlemen, so the same way as how I told you have to hold men accountable for if they're trying to, cock block you and they're trying to make you look bad and disrespect you, especially, is when you're not holding women accountable for their bad behaviors and their actions. All right? So it's bad enough if you're not holding men accountable for them trying to screw you over in a relationship or even make you look bad in some way. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's trying to steal your girlfriend, making fun of you in front of her, doing things to embarrass you in front of the girl, that stops. That has to stop. You have to put your foot down. Let this guy know you need it. Relax here. Okay, I don't know what your deal is. You got to stop doing that right away or we're going to have some issues. Don't be afraid to say that. But another sign of a weak man, of course, is when men are just afraid to hold women accountable for their actions. So this mostly happens when men don't know how to vet women. This is for you gentlemen, okay? Like, one of the first things we've said, I think it was 2 videos ago, where you have to test her on how she handles you saying no to her. Because the problem with a lot of women, mostly the attractive ones, like the 8s and 9s and 10s, is that they're not used to men saying no to them. Yeah. They're not. They live in their own little fantasy world where
everybody's sent to them.
Yes. Like these are the women who are. I'm just going to be very blunt about this one. Like the women who are like around 8s, 9s, and 10s. We're kind of. You guys are putting yourselves into this category now where you're looking at women who could be potential like sex workers at that point. Because 8s, 9s, and 10s usually do that. All right, I'm going to be very, very honest with you on that because they're just that beautiful. Or they're receiving some sort of sponsorship. Or they might be on sugar daddy websites and they're probably sugar babies. Like I'm telling you, like things are just given to them. Yeah. So when we're dealing with women who don't understand how to hold themselves accountable for anything, because why? No one else is doing it, so they're not going to. This will happen constantly if you fail or you have failed to vet her. The vetting process, as we've talked about, as the unplugging, 6 months. A bare minimum of 6 months to a year, maybe a little bit more, depending on who this person is. I personally think 6 to 7 months is all right, but it could prolong itself depending on if this girl has inherent problems. But then some guys will say, well, why are you still betting her? It's like, well, because she's a plate. At the end of the day, like, men should be spinning plates. And then once we get to the point where the woman comes up to you and asks the golden question, hey, where are we? I want to be exclusive to you. Then that's when you tell her, of course, hey, I like you, I dig your vibe, but I just can't take a woman serious because A, B, C, and D. And then we go from there. So if you fail to vet her, basically, and she decides to give you 10,000 competency tests, and she decides to have girl trips, and you're just like, you're ambivalent about it. You just don't know if you should say yes, you should say no, because it goes back to point number 2, is that you're afraid that she's going to leave you if you say something to her. That's pathetic, guys. That's totally pathetic. It's like, the women know, they know 100% who the winners are and who the losers are. They know who they can push around and who they can't push around. They know who the leaders are, and they know if they are the leaders in the relationship. They just won't tell you. They're not going to tell you. Why are they going to tell you that? Why? They just expect you to figure it out. You're the man. Like, you're supposed to figure that out. So the girl trips, and you're just like, oh, okay. And then she's on a girl's trip for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, meeting guys, getting ran through, performing thought activities, and you don't even know anything about it. And then she comes back all happy, and her sex drive all of a sudden is high. Like, okay, you had way too much fun. You've had a little too much fun on your girl's trips. While you, as the guy, 3 weeks, you're cooked up at home or at work, suffering, building these thoughts and all this pain that from her going, and for her basically being disloyal to you. You know she's being disloyal to you. Disloyal women don't go on girls' trips. They don't.
Love their man, yeah.
They don't. They don't. Like, why would a loyal woman who knows that she has a prize, knows that she has a leader, someone who's putting a roof over her head, who's giving her the best lifestyle, why on earth is she going to go on a girls' trip knowing that it's going to heavily jeopardize the relationship? Why would she do that? Girls will only do that if they know they don't have a prize, that they're just dating a guy, not the guy. When she is with the guy, she will not do that. When she's with a guy, she will put herself, she definitely will, in precarious situations, and there's nothing you can do about it at that point. No, nothing you can do about it. You've lost her. You've lost her, and it's only a matter of time before another guy sweeps her off her feet. Simple as that. Simple as that. Simple as that, guys. Come on. So that's just one example. And then another one where she's just being loud and disrespecting you. You're not putting your foot down. We've had situations like this before with other men. Well, they'll come up to us, and I cannot tell you how many times I've heard men come up to us or me and say, oh, like, but what if she threatens to kill herself if I tell her this? Oh, what if she walks out of the house? What if she, like, gets mad at me? What if she takes my stuff? Or what if she tells me I can't go out anymore? Come on, guys. Seriously?
Yeah, don't be a pussy, bro.
My God, like, the 10,000 concessions that men think for themselves. Like, you're really thinking of all these excuses, all these scenarios that probably might not even happen if you put your foot down.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you guys. I really don't. Like, if when you're so outcome independent like that, you're just not going to strive in the relationship. You're just not. You're not going to do well. Like, women look for leaders. They look for masculine men. They're not looking for feminine men. This is what I said on the last episode. Okay, women look for leaders. Men, guys, come on, seriously. Like, you're going to sit here and tell me that men look for leaders and women look for partners? They're not looking for that. Women, you're going to find women that say, oh, well, our relationships are 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's never been 50-50. Like, the whole concept of a leader is that there is a follower that follows the leader always. It's never two leaders, because now there's no follower. Now you guys are going to clash more. Now you guys are going to be too opinionated on certain things. Now you guys are going to fight more. You're going to disagree more. You're going to have strife, more strife in the relationship, because there's no follower. There's no one is looking up to one person. No one is following the journey. No one is believing in the leadership of one other person to guide the relationship into the best effective affection or even life possible. Okay, it's not going to happen. It's just not. You cannot have two leaders. Just like how in a job you can't have two presidents. Okay, unless you have two business branches that have like different names, but they're under like the same name, and then you have co-presidents, but it's not for the same company, not for the same two entities at least. They're just under one branch. So it's a totally different thing. How am I going to look if I'm the owner of a company and someone comes up to me and then fights with me and disagrees with me? They're not going to look at me like I'm the owner of the company. This happens. Remember this? Now the person who's here basically self-elevates herself and thinks that she's equal to you. So now there's no leader. Now there's no final decision maker. There's nothing there. This is what women say they want. And then when you give it to them, they bail. They don't want it because they know innately that they are not looking for that. They're not looking for 50-50. They're looking for someone who's going to give them everything, who's going to give them the best life possible, who's going to lead, who they can feed off their masculine energy. That's not 50-50, especially when the leader is taking responsibility of the follower, basically protecting her, giving her security, giving her what she needs to survive along with her children. All this stuff. It's not the same thing. Like, men and women don't look for the same things. We look for different things. So that already is unequivocal. That's just the way it is. Like, we're not equal when it comes to that. We're just not. So men have to understand that. And when women, of course, buy into this idea of feminism, like, this is how they think, until a man steps up and says, yeah, that's not how it's going to work. Like, I'm not looking for a boss. I'm not looking for a leader. Remember that example I said about the mirrors? We're not looking for spitting images of ourselves. We're looking for the opposite. We're looking for someone who has traits we don't have already. As simple as that, guys. Now, Ivan, good seeing you again here. Too many Sims out here. Oh, of course. Out there, here, everywhere. Everywhere. It's on men. It's definitely on men. The reason why women are the way they are, too, a factor at least, is because men just don't put their foot down. Simple as that.
Very true, man.
Simple as that.
Simp economy or some shit like that.
The simp economy.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it's the women's sexual marketplace value is just too expensive for the Sims right now. Just too expensive. So they're gonna have to just improve. They have to grow, they have to improve, and they have to just put their foot down. And again, guys, I don't know if I mentioned this in a past video, but basically, you have to understand, like, there's a difference between masculine identity and someone who's alpha. Okay, I think there's a conflation with those two terms, even though someone can kind of say they're similar, but then they have some similarities, but not really. When someone understands their masculine identity, all that means is that they understand who they are as a man and their core values. That's all it is. When a woman can exploit or finesse a man's value, meaning that she sees that he doesn't know his value and she's basically kind of picking him apart. Like, okay, so I see that he's not masculine. I'm going to pick him apart here and boss him around more. I see that he's indecisive. Okay, I'm going to pick him apart by making more decisions in the relationship. And if he gives me lip, then I'm going to fight back on him and say, well, what makes you think that you can make the decision? You're indecisive. I'm not. So you see what I mean? Like, women's superpower is definitely, as I mentioned before, from a girl game topic that I brought up with Chris, is women are very, very good. It takes little to no time and skill to exploit men's masculine value. The only way women can do this is if a man himself honestly doesn't understand his own masculine value. That's it. Or his sexual market value. That's how women exploit men. That is exactly how women exploit men. And as far as alpha goes, the whole thing with the alpha thing is basically, like we talked about before, it's just you are chasing excellence. You are trying to be the best version of yourself. That in turn goes with the masculine identity as well. But basically, you're having these alpha traits where it's making you attractive to women. And to some points, you're becoming more aroused. You're becoming more arousing to them as well. So again, masculine identity is knowing basically what your program is. What is your program? What is your program? And how can you get women to follow that program? That's basically it. And without them trying to pick it apart every single time. And then, of course, alpha males. Alpha is a mentality. It's not a skill. It's a mentality. As I mentioned before, you are growing. You are chasing excellence. You are not afraid to be stoic. You're not afraid to put your foot down. It's a mentality. Understand that. All right, guys? So I wanted to throw that in there, and we were talking about the accountability thing. Yeah. So that's basically it, guys. I know I added that point on there, but women are very good at finessing men. They can, and it's very easy. They don't have to read some sort of encyclopedia. They don't have to Google. They don't have to do anything. They really, really don't. But the Sims 100%. It's just when men don't have good networking, like we talked about before, when they don't have good friends, good father figures, anybody really guiding them on how to avoid getting finessed, this is what happens. Ladies, this goes for you too. When we have women who say, oh, men need to open up more, men need to be in their emotions, they need to stop trying to be masculine, they need to stop being alpha males, like, they need to soften up more. Okay, why are you still single then? Why, if you're not single, then why are you not with that kind of guy? Why are you still chasing those high gigachad alpha males, the ones who are making even mid to high 6 figures or 7 figures? Why? Why? So don't give us that nonsense. Like, you wouldn't give the time or day to give men a chance like that. You just wouldn't, because innately you know you're not into that. You're just not. The only time, as we mentioned before, women go for guys like that is because they have to. They've lost their purity. They've lost some sexual market value. They've been ran through.
Yeah.
They don't know how to respect men. They're loud. They're obnoxious. And then the Sims, or the guys who don't understand their values, they go for women like that because, as we talked about before, women sleep with who they want, men sleep with who they can. But those roles are kind of reversed when women lose their value. Now it becomes, okay, well, now at that point when women have lost so much value and they're single mothers too, women sleep with more of who they can with because, well, they sleep with who they can when it comes to who's going to take them serious. But when it comes to 30s and they lost their value, the guys aren't going to take them serious. They're just not. They're not. They're totally not. So that's wrapping up that point there. Oh, here's another one here. Oh, Chris, tell me, stop me if you've heard this before. Stop me. Somebody stop me.
All right.
When men, this is for, and you guys know who you are. Whoever is watching this, you know who you are, or tends to watch the recording after this.
Right.
When you are a yes man,
Yeah.
where do I even begin with this? I'll tell you what, I'm going to drink my aminos first. Ooh, watermelon. Where do I begin? The way I'll kind of begin on this one is, how many times do we see guys nowadays, Chris, where it could be from any setting. It could be they're on their phones with their girlfriends, and you can hear their girlfriends kind of fighting with them and arguing with them, and the guy's like, yes, honey, yes, okay, I'll come home soon.
Yeah.
Or in person, the girl's yelling at them or telling, okay, we're gonna do, okay, yes, honey, yes, honey, yes, honey, yes, honey. Like, it's just yes, this, yes, that, yes.
Yeah. They'll put their foot down. They can't control the girl. It's pretty sad, man, but I've seen a lot of it in my life.
It's so pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, there are gonna be men who they'll put their foot down for many other things, like when guys fight with them, or if their parents start to argue with them, or if they're trying to get business out, they'll put their foot down almost no problem in situations like that.
Right.
But when a girl comes into the picture, the whole word no is non-existent within their mental dictionary. It's non-existent. They don't know how to say it anymore.
Right.
And again, this goes back to the previous points. Like, you're afraid she's going to say something to you. You're afraid she's going to break up with you. Like, it frustrates me. It really does. Like, there are times where if I'm seeing a woman really out of line and really, really out of place, I'm looking at the guy and I'm looking at him with my arms crossed, and I'm just observing these perpetual bad behaviors that'll just continue on if the foot is not put down. And I'm looking at the guy, and in my mind, like, I'm doing this in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Any day now.
Do something.
Can you, like, tell it to STFU? Like, shut the hell up? You know, like, can you tell it to enough is enough?
When are you gonna put your foot down with this chick? And even on the phone, like, gentlemen, there's nothing wrong if you're on the phone with someone, all right, and this is bad for men too. Like, if I see a man who's afraid to put his foot down with a woman, I'm already losing a bit of respect for him. I am.
Yep. That happens.
Instantly. I've lost maybe 20-30% of respect for him. Possibly more. Possibly more, depending on how bad the woman is behaving. He's not putting his foot down. Like, and I'll hear it too. Like, we're right next to these guys too. A whole conversation on the phone of them just being angry, screaming, yelling, cursing at them, and then they're just like, yes, okay, I'll be home soon. I'll be home soon. Okay, baby. Okay, I'll be home. Don't be mad. I'll bring you something. I'll bring you something. I love you so much. Seriously, guys? I'm looking straight at you guys. Seriously. Yeah, this is the face I'm gonna put with you guys. Seriously. You honestly think other women and other men are gonna respect you? You think a woman who's talking like that to you is gonna respect you? Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with you being on the phone with her or even in person and just flat out say, okay, listen, you are not speaking to me like that. You're not speaking to me like that. Simple as that. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to argue with her. Tell her flat out, you are not speaking to me that way. And if she gives you rebuttals, she starts screaming more and things like that, walk away from her.
Yeah.
Walk away from her. And if you're her ride, tell her to take an Uber. Punish her. Punish her for bad behavior, gentlemen. Like, here's what I didn't make this one of my points, but I guess I might as well make it like an add-on.
Go for it.
DLC. make it some DLC. The DLC here is you have to introduce consequences. It's that simple. Like, if she decides to just misbehave on a date, let's say you just take her out somewhere and she's just throwing all these really bad tantrums, tell her she's gonna Uber home, flat out. I do it all the time. It works every single time, honestly. Like, women respect me more when I do that. When I put my foot down, you guys gotta understand that when you're giving them so much, as I talked about in the last episode, they tend to respect it less or not at all, and they don't appreciate it. Women, at the end of the day, will always, no matter what, that is a hill I will die on, will always respect men who put their foot down and know how to say no to them, no matter what. Now, will a woman long term not like the guy in the long run? Maybe. But she will respect him. There's a difference between a woman who respects a man, doesn't like him, and a woman who maybe likes the guy a little bit but doesn't respect him.
Yeah. A woman can't love a man if she doesn't respect him.
I've said that I don't know how many times. She has to respect you guys. She has to respect you. So the fact that she doesn't know that there are consequences with bad behavior, she's gonna walk all over you. Just flat out walk all over you. She's gonna misbehave, embarrass you in front of friends and family members, and we're all just gonna look at you like a weak man. Not only is she going to think that you're a weak man, everyone else is gonna think you're a weak man. Now, you might be this guy who's somewhat self-absorbed and be like, well, I don't care what people think about me. You'd be surprised the reputation you build for yourself when people see that other people can walk all over you. You'd be surprised. It's going to affect your career. It could be posted on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere. I've always said that women's reputation management is a big thing for women. I've always said that. But in no way, shape, or form, I don't care what time it is. I don't care if you're dreaming. Doesn't matter. There is no way that men should be allowing women to get away with bad behavior and zero consequences. Done. It cannot happen. It just cannot happen. Cannot happen at all.
Yeah, you can't let that happen.
It's the yes man. So the yes man guy's like, stop saying yes to your girls. Okay, stop. Like, I wasn't gonna bring this point up, but like, you gotta stop always listening to her. All right. I hate to sound crass like that, also, but the truth is, and this is the same thing as the yes man. I would say this is kind of synonymous to it. But when you're so agreeable with women, they're not gonna look at you as their leader as well. I'm going to give you guys a gem here. I'll give you guys a little gem here. I made this one up. Women lose respect for men who listen to them. Men lose respect for women who don't listen to them. I'll say that one more time. Women lose respect for men who listen to them. Men lose respect for women who do not listen to them. Well, that's dug in there. So, and we talked about the 5 big traits as well. Like, one of the big traits for women is that they're very agreeable. And we talked about examples too. And this is when Chris and Aisha were here. If she were to go up to her boss and basically negotiate and argue like a man, those are male personality traits, type A and type B. It's unattractive. It's unattractive for women. But when men show type C and type D personality traits, which are more like the nurturing, the agreeableness, and supporting, women aren't looking for that. Why? Because they're already doing it. Women look for things they don't have. So stop trying to be similar to them. Stop it. It doesn't work. They're not going to fall for you. They're going to lose attraction. They're not going to be aroused by you. Come on, guys. Please. I beg you guys, please. Let's see here. So that kind of wraps up the yes man part. That was a good one, actually. Very, very good. Let me see here. So I have a few more points here. Okay. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. This one kind of goes already with some of the points here. But, gentlemen, I'll just say this really quick here. You allow women to basically act out in front of friends and family members. Yelling, screaming, all that. I think I briefly mentioned that on the previous point.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to...
It's pretty similar, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to drag this one on too long. And again, we can tell who runs the relationship. So basically, if we see that she's acting out in public, screaming, yelling, throwing tantrums, and throwing hands around, the guy's not doing anything, again, you know who's running the relationship. You know it. You 100% know it. And you know who the leader is and who the follower is. The weak one. All right. So very good, very good. And then another point I have on here, it looks like we're going to have a pretty short episode today, to be honest with you. We're going to cover, very short episode. So we're probably going to wrap this up here, guys. I want this to be kind of like a doozy here. A nice general one is my last point here, and we can kind of go off on a little conversation, if anything. But basically, my final point here, and I've always talked about this, but maybe if I put this as a point and mainly talk about this, is, gentlemen, I think one of the bigger signs that you are a weak man is when you are not stoic. When you're not. What this means here, guys, okay, is that you're pragmatic. Being stoic means that you are being pragmatic, you're being realistic, and you are willing to accept any outcome that comes your way and grow from it. Not complain about it, not give up, throw tantrums, roll on the floor like a little toddler, nothing like that. All right? Women do this all the time. As in, they're very neurotic. They experience high grades of negative emotion. We've already talked about that. I'm not going to sound like a broken record there. But how does it look when a woman sees you doing the same thing that she's doing when things get tough? You think she's going to take you serious? You think she's going to look at you like you're the strong, formidable one that's going to protect her in time of danger? She's just not. And this is the point we brought with Chris on our last episode also. And I've already stated too, women in general, and just innately, they're not looking for men who are going to open up their emotions. They're just not doing that. Never. And I can bring any woman on the podcast, and she might not know directly what I'm asking her. I can ask her something very rudimentary. Do you like a man who's very open about his emotions? That's a bit vague. That's a bit of a vague question.
They'll likely say yes to.
They're going to say yes.
Yeah.
Because it's a vague question. But when I give more context and significance to it, I guarantee you they're going to change their answer. They're going to change their answer immediately. So if I go ahead and elaborate more on my question and say, okay, so let me steel man your answer here. So you're basically telling me that you're perfectly fine with with a man who shows emotion by, if he gets angry, he's yelling, he's screaming, punching holes in the wall, or if he's sad, he's crying, physically crying, he's on the bed, doesn't want to see anybody, He's making all these sounds. And when you see he's very immature and can't handle situations, and he just complains that he can't change a light bulb or change a car tire or anything like that. Is that your statement? And I guarantee you they're going to be like, oh, well, I wasn't thinking of it like that. Exactly, because you know that's not what you want. You know that's not what you're looking for. And then when I steelman it even more, I said, I think what you want, you can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong about this one. You are looking for a stoic man. And of course, if she doesn't know what that means, I explained to her what that means. And it says, these men do show emotion. They are better at controlling it than women are innately. So, and the examples I always give, if I'm pissed off with her about something, I'm not going to scream at her. I'm not going to get all of my emotions and say, okay, baby, listen, that was a bad move you made. I didn't like that you did that. I thought that was very irresponsible. Quite frankly, I'm not very happy with you on that. Versus, my God, that was the dumbest thing in the world. How could you do that? Oh, and then you start yelling and punching the wall and everything. Women, ladies, understand that when you tell men, or when you're going off in the world and telling episodes or podcasts, or when you're on your TikToks and Instagram, like, men need to be more open about their emotions. This is what you're asking for. You're asking for men to show anger, be out of control, punch holes in the wall, cry, complain, like how most women do anyway, especially when stress is involved. That's what you're asking for. And then when it's finally given to you, you're like, whoa, oh, I don't want that. I definitely don't want that. I was wrong. I want a man who's masculine. I want a man who's going to be in control of his emotions, who isn't going to cry all the time, who isn't going to be sad and say, baby, I got it. That's what women want. Women don't want men who are going to be like, oh, I can't do it. No, they want a man to say, baby, I got it. That's what you ladies want. And again, a hill I will die on, no matter what. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. It's been proven so many times. I would even say that contributes to our high divorce rate, when men are just being totally beta-tized by 1,000 concessions, and they show too much emotion. They're complaining all the time. They're around their girl all the time. Those are factors that lead to divorces. That's what divorces are led up to. I'm sorry, guys. It's just the way it is. And again, like I've even emphasized on our last episode, like I do think men who are masculine and who are alpha show emotion. I do. They're just better at controlling it. There's a difference between me showing my emotion and saying, look, you kind of messed up on this. That was a really bad move. I'm not too happy about that. I'm very disappointed. Versus, I can't believe you did this. How could you do this? Ah! There's a total difference there, guys. Okay? Men do show emotion. I'm sorry that they're not crying, complaining, being angry, and not showing stoicism for you, for the ladies. But let's face it, you're not asking for that. You're just not. All right, so stop this nonsense. Okay, men need to be men. Men 100% need to be men. And I don't know how many sites we've shown. And we even have a site that's literally called Women Want It All. And one of the features, the very first one I pointed out, is that women want masculine men.
Yeah, it's obvious. It should be obvious.
And all those men who are like in the top 10, 15% making money, guess what? They're all, for the most part, most of them are very stoic. Most of them know how to say no to you. So ladies, be ready for that. Be very, very ready for that. Because what women tend to understand, I think I'll wrap it up here, as a matter of fact. What women have to understand, I wasn't going to throw this point out, but what women have to understand is men are extremely easy. We are extremely easy to please. We are extremely easy to satisfy. So what I don't understand about women when it comes to mate selecting is, ladies, you know what men want for the most part. Not everything, and I would have you guys watch our videos and I tell you guys what men are truly looking for. I highly advise you to look back at some of the videos, even for men's true mate selecting strategies or things that men like, okay? The fact that most women know what men want, but they just choose not to give men what they want because they're trying to leverage intimacy so they can extract resources from the men but not give men what they want is a total crime to me, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. It's a total crime.
It is.
Total crime. And when it comes to the leverage too, you want to know something? I'm going to say this.
Go for it.
I don't know if I said this before on an episode. I think everywhere we should legalize prostitution.
Oh, well, you never said this on the episode, but you have told me about this off air.
You want to know why? I think we should legalize prostitution.
Go for it, man.
I'll tell you why. Because then women can't leverage sex anymore. Because it can be outsourced.
Right.
That means if a woman is trying to finesse a man for sex, so she's doing the foodie calls, she's doing having this guy buy her a bunch of gifts, being superfluous with purchasing things for her, and she's withholding sex from the guy could just be like, screw this, I can just purchase sex. I can just purchase this. I don't have to let this woman finesse me. So the fact that if women lose that one power, that one superpower of leveraging sex from the man, now women have no choice. They have absolutely no choice but to be like, I really like this guy. I really like him, but I can't finesse him. I can't withhold sex because he can just go off and just purchase it. And this is something else too. Like what women don't understand also is, we're going kind of off topic here, but that's okay. We'll close off. What women don't understand also is a lot of things they say they can do that other women can't do can be outsourced. Like if they say, oh, I can cook, I can hire a maid to cook. Oh, I can clean. Same thing. I can hire a maid to clean the house. Oh, I can take care of children. Put them in a daycare. You know, like there's so many things that they do that we can just outsource easily. But if I'm telling you right now, if prostitution, because it's only legal in Nevada here in the United States, but if you legalize it everywhere else, women, it's no man's land for them. Absolutely no man's land, because they can no longer leverage sex against men. No longer. So if they have a high value guy or even a low beta male who they're trying to finesse, they can no longer finesse those guys anymore. No longer. And they have to be on top of their game. They have to be on top of their game and say, okay, I like this guy. Oh geez, he's giving me this, he's giving me that, but I know he wants sex, I know he wants availability. I can't finesse him, and I really like him. So the moment I say or show signs that I'm not interested in giving him sex, he's gonna walk away and just be like, okay, that's fine, I can just purchase sex, that's totally fine. Now she loses the attention and she loses the validation and potential resources and potential good genes that she could be getting from this one guy. Because a woman's short-term strategies is, it is giving intimacy. It is. That's her way of also vetting for a potential long-term mate if she's able to get and lock this guy down. So understand that, ladies. Like, for all the ladies who are finessing men out here on purpose and they're taking advantage of men, you better pray that prostitution doesn't become legal everywhere. You better hope that doesn't happen, because if that happens, you guys are in big trouble. You can no longer finesse men. And the moment that guy comes on in, that he's a good guy, you're not going to be able to withhold sex from him, because again, he could just go off and just purchase sex. No problem. Simple as that. Yeah. And that's pretty much it, guys. So that was episode number 17, guys. This is, I think, our shortest episode thus far. Signs you are a weak man. Part 1. We'll definitely talk more about this in another time. So we were supposed to have a guest tonight here, guys. I do apologize. The guest ended up not showing up. That's fine. We do have other guests lined up for next week, so hopefully they show up. But until then, guys, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps our channel out. Go on our Instagrams, follow us. We try to upload stories to give people more up-to-date content of what we're talking about and to give them a heads up.
Join our Discord.
And our Discord as well, and Discord exclusive as well. Like, we post our studies there as well. So if anyone's ever concerned or curious, like, what are these studies these guys are pulling up? I want to read the studies. They're on there. All right. And we might even have some exclusive episodes. Who knows? I was thinking about that, to be honest with you, with some people.
In the future, yeah, I think we can do that.
So Discord exclusive episodes. So be aware of that, guys. All right. So this is basically it, guys. We appreciate you guys always giving us the support here. Like, comment, subscribe, like I mentioned before. This is Chris and Leo from the Unplugging, signing out.
All right. See you guys.